Hello, everyone. My name is Roman Havrylyuk from ORIL. At this podcast, we focus on everything PropTech, tech landscape, PropTech startups, AI, IoT, and much more. And today, we're joined by Jonas Bordo, the co-founder and CEO of Dwellsy, an AI-native rental intelligence platform. He's also the author of Everything Renting. Welcome, Jonas. And I'm really happy to have you on this podcast. So to kick things off, Jonas, please give us a brief overview of your role at Dwellsy and about the company as well.
Absolutely, Roman. It's such a pleasure to be on the podcast. Thank you for having me. Dwellsy is a couple of different things. So on the front end, we are a consumer marketplace. Renters use us to find their next rental. Landlords use us to get their place rented. We serve millions of renters and hundreds of thousands of professional landlords all across the country. And then we also sell data. So if you need to know what the rent is for the very first time, you can accurately and in a timely basis get the correct rent numbers. So that's useful in a lot of different areas, whether you're doing economic forecasting or trying to predict what the cash flows of a property are going to be, or trying to figure out how to set your rents for your property. We have clients in all kinds of different industries who are using the data for different purposes.
So to continue on that path in terms of your clients, I'm curious, who are your typical clients? Are these organizations, individuals? And also to follow up with that right away, what differentiates you for them among other companies?
Yeah. So, actually, one of the challenges that we've had, it's nice for a business to have one ideal customer profile, ICP. We unfortunately don't. We have a lot of different categories. I think we have clients in 12 different categories using our data. We have economic research organizations. We have multifamily owners, multifamily operators, single family rental platforms. We've got PropTechs. We serve universities. We serve banks, insurance companies. A wide range of others. Hedge funds trade based on our data. There's a wide range of different use cases. So it's actually been a little bit challenging from a marketing standpoint to try to figure out how to reach all of those audiences in a coherent and cohesive way. We're not always as good at it as we want to be, but we're always working hard to try to make sure we're out there serving the right people.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you. And I wouldn't say that this is a disadvantage. It's you need to know how to play these cards, right? I would say, and it's great. It's a much better problem to have to try to narrow down your focus instead of the opposite. So I want to congratulate you on this. And in terms of the differentiation, the kind of second part of the question, what makes you different from other companies that provides kind of similar rental data?
Yeah. So for the first time, it's real rental data. Accurate rental data has never been available for purchase before at any price. The only data sources that were available was scrape data, which doesn't work very well in our industry for a variety of reasons. Number one, it's just very hard to scrape accurately in this kind of highly fragmented space. And even if you can get one site right on one day, that site's probably going to change in a day or two, and you may not get it right that second time. And with hundreds of thousands or millions of sites that need to be scraped, it's very difficult to do that properly. The other thing is you can't capture the right data point through that. Price discovery happens in public. So unless you get that final asking rent, which may only be available for a couple of minutes on the site, you're not going to be able to scrape it. So scrape data has never resulted in accurate rent data. Additionally, the other tool that people have used to get data is surveying, and that's problematic in a couple of different ways. Calling somebody up and saying, "What are you charging for one bedrooms?" is unlikely to get an accurate answer. But then you can't do that every day, and you can't do that every 5 minutes. So what we have figured out how to do is tap into the property management systems directly through the marketing feeds. That's how we populate the marketplace that we run. And through that, we get a continuous, accurate feed directly from the system of record. And we're the first and only source that actually has that. So the net result is that we have real rent data available for the first time. And what's additionally valuable to folks is that this is public data. It has been given to us with the intent of making it public. We have made it public. We've put it in front of renters so they can use it to find their next place. And then that data becomes highly usable as a result. It's not confidential data that is insider information that is exchanged between competitors, like some of the problems that have arisen for folks over the past couple of years. This is public data, so it's highly usable.
Thank you, Jonas. And I don't believe I've heard another company addressing this data availability in this way. And I think there's definitely a very unique edge to that. Basically, you're looking into the source of truth itself. And in terms of to wrap up the customer question, what I like to ask is, what are kind of some interesting ways maybe that your customers maybe used your data just outside of the box? Maybe not a typical use case, but just something that maybe even surprised you in a certain way.
Well, there's a lot of different things. I did not expect it to get used for trading retail stocks, but apparently it gets used to trade retail stocks. It is a missing piece for understanding the shelter component of CPI. Shelter is about 30% of the price index for how much prices are changing in the United States, and rent is a big piece of that. And there's never before been an accurate indicator for the rent component of that. So we get a wide variety of uses of the data on that front. There's a host of others. I thought people were going to use it for revenue management and for buying and selling properties. That was what I figured would be the main use case.
Default, basically.
Yeah, that's one of only 10 or 12 use cases that we've seen so far.
Well, amazing. Very interesting to hear some unique edges of how people can address problem solving, right? That's the purpose of businesses like yours and mine, to provide capability, and then it's up to imagination, and maybe in some cases to AI. And I will use this as a segue to AI, a portion of our discussion. Can you tell me a little bit about AI readiness of your data, and whether and how did AI change your business? How did you adapt?
Yeah, AI has been pretty transformational for us for a couple of different reasons. I think first is data quality matters in a way it hasn't before. One of the wonderful things about the real estate industry is that it's very human. We're dealing with physical assets and people who have long history of making reasoned judgments about real estate. And that's incredibly important, and I don't think that'll ever go away. But there's a lot of speed that is available as a result of AI. But if you're feeding it bad data, then you're going to get bad inferences from the AI, and you're not going to be able to make those good human decisions on that poor quality foundation. And I think before, people put up with a lot of bad data because it was very easy to sift out, and people just kind of ignored the data because there wasn't good data available in our category. Now that there is, you can actually use it to help AI, to allow AI to help you make decisions. And we're seeing people do things in hours or minutes that would have taken weeks or months before, which is really exciting. The other side of it that's been wonderful for us is, given all the different audiences we serve, it's been very challenging to figure out how to build the right products for everybody. And it used to be just an enormous process. Even for a small, nimble PropTech company, it still takes, at best a quarter or two to bring a product to market. Now, we had an experience a couple of weeks ago where we had a conversation with a prospective client. They talked about a use case that we hadn't imagined. We put together an app, and in a week or two, we were able to put it in front of them and say, how does this look? Does this meet your needs? And they're excited, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward with them. So that kind of thing was just not possible before. And so that's really been transformational for us. The third thing I'd mention is the improvement of the data. These data feeds are really messy. It's a challenge to get them right. We take feeds from over 30 different property management software systems. It's incredibly complex to try to normalize, standardize all that data. And we've gotten a lot better at it. We've always been very good at it, but we've been able to do it more efficiently at a higher quality level, and to extend our ability to extract new categories of information from the data that we weren't able to practically extract before.
I absolutely agree with you in terms of data clarity and normalization. The way I see this is before AI, a lot of responsibility to normalize the data was on the companies themselves. So you would use a BI tool, and then your business analyst or data analyst would filter the data and do the kind of the work themselves.
Yeah.
But now it is expected that that companies provide AI ready data, AI ready solutions, and any inconsistencies in this data can confuse AI in such a way. AI tools in such a way that it would just produce contradictory results.
Yeah.
So that responsibility now falls onto companies like yours to make it right. But that also gives a lot of opens a lot of doors, I would say.
And I think it makes the most sense. That's where the responsibility should lie. It should lie with the most technically sophisticated folks who are the closest to the data. If we can't do that, then how can we expect our clients to be able to do that? Nobody's going to know the data better than us. And we have the data scientists on our team. We have the AI and the technical capabilities to do that sort of work. For a client to have to do that with I don't know how many data sets, 10, 12, 15, 20 different data sets that they're trying to work with each individually, that's not reasonable to ask them to do that. So, folks like us should be providing the highest quality data that is AI ready. Anything short of that, you really got to revisit your data model.
Absolutely agree with that. And in terms of data interoperability, so in terms of there's a significant portion of attention that's dedicated toward normalization of data, toward cleaning it up and standardizing it. But also there's a challenge of integrating various sources of data, so-called data enrichment. Just curious whether that's something that Dwellsy also addresses while speaking with customers. I would imagine that would also be a typical use case where either your clients use you as data enrichment, or they use you as the source of information and then enrich data from other sources. Just curious on this use case, if you can speak a little bit to it.
Yeah, we do see Dwellsy data combined with other data sources in a variety of different ways. One of the advantages of Dwellsy data is the quality, right? So our data it's funny. I had a conversation with a prospective client recently, and they asked me, how come you don't have confidence intervals for your data points? I said, well, because it's the truth. Like it's fact. Putting 100 next to everything wouldn't do anybody any good. But the downside of that is that we don't have all the data points. Right. So I was talking to somebody earlier this week who's planning to use Dwellsy data and then use lower quality data sources to augment where we don't have coverage. So that's one area. We've got about 70-75% of professionally managed properties on the platform, but that's not all the properties. And sometimes you need properties we don't have. So that's one area. There's obviously lots of different data sets in this category that need to be combined. And that's something we've wrestled with. We have used historically the address as the join key between different data sets. And that has its pluses and minuses. But fundamentally, particularly in multifamily, address can be a little imperfect. So we've actually come up with a new tool that we're pretty excited. We're in the process of launching right now. It's the unique rentable unit code, our URU, as we call it. And we intend to have an URU for every rentable home or apartment in the country and be able to share that. And it actually, the taxonomy goes down to the room and to the bed as well. So we're able to have a consistent URU for every property in the country. And so we're starting to work with various partners across the network to be able to make that available to them so that we can have that join key ready for clients who want to be able to work with Dwellsy data in the context of other data sets as well.
That is very interesting. It sounds like a candidate for a future standardization opportunity, because I haven't seen that in standards like RISO. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I don't believe they have that. So it could be a really good addition to them as well.
Yeah, no, there's a number of different real estate oriented join keys, but they tend to be good for single family homes or for different constructs, if you will. They're thinking about retail as the core construct, or they're thinking about other asset classes. There hasn't really been anything, and we would have loved to use it if somebody else had created it, but they hadn't. So we've decided finally that it makes sense for us to create it, and we went ahead and did that. But we're pretty excited about making it available to everybody.
Absolutely. I think the obvious potential is to unlock a lot of things that were done as workarounds in terms of room rentals, co-renting spaces, and that whole space might kind of have a really good tool to use that they had to figure out before themselves every single case, basically. Impressive.
100%.
In terms of the startups and the products, I just wanted to ask about this as well. Since availability of building a platform, it's much more accessible now. It's much easier to build a POC, an MVP. Are you seeing a rise in terms of startup? It doesn't have to be a startup, actually. Larger corporations can experience much more as well. Just curious whether you noticed a pickup in demand over the last, let's say, 2 years when AI really picked up.
Mm-hmm. You know, I wouldn't say over the last 2 years, but over the last 4 or 5 months, 100%. There seemed to be some sort of switch that flipped in the first quarter. Maybe it was launch of Cloud Code, maybe it was something else, but the AI models seem to have reached a level where vibe coding is within reach of even the least technical folks. And we are seeing, I think we've gotten 3 inbounds already this week of folks who are building new PropTech companies. That, one of the things that I always look for, because historically we've needed to have the technical conversation with them. And, we look for the technical co-founder or, and we're not seeing that at some of these companies. They don't have that anymore. And I think that's, on one hand, very exciting. And I'm thrilled for those folks who are free to be able to create things in a way they weren't before, myself included. I'm having a blast building software, which is not something I've ever been able to do before. But at the same time, we have to remember that there's a big difference between a vibe-coded application and something that is production ready and stable and safe for clients to use with their data. So I'm really excited about the availability of these tools. I think that last mile is going to be really important for people to keep in mind when they start building.
Yeah, that's a great observation. And that's something that we're noticing as well. And the way I look at this is that stage one for any tech startup to build an MVP or a POC used to be, we need to have a technical co-founder, we need to build this platform, And now this is basically the second step now. It's basically you can start lower this threshold even more. You can build a POC without a technical co-founder, which allows you to prove your business model and then extend beyond that. I think it opens up a lot of possibilities, and it's really exciting. I agree with you.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Like being able to flip the switch on how that works is so exciting. It's really hard to build good product. And, just coming up with something that people actually want to use, delivering it in a way that they want to use it is incredibly difficult. And if it takes you 6 months to prove out an idea, you're just going to see a lot less things get to market. So I'm really excited.
For sure.
We're going to see a level of creativity and entrepreneurship that we've not seen before as a result of these new tools.
100%. And I absolutely agree with you. At a certain stage, the companies need to make a transition to hiring a team that works with the product on a more professional level, but the threshold has been lowered to prove your business concept at a much lower cost than it used to be before that. And for sure, that's really exciting. So Jonas, if you don't mind, I'd like to go into the section about the future and vision, and just wanted to ask you, within your field, what gets you the most excited about, not just within Dwellsy, but overall? What are the interesting trends that you're noticing in rental data, or maybe just in general in rental market that might be relevant to the technology in our discussion today?
Yeah. Well, I think, I'll kind of start from the top and go down. From an industry standpoint, I think we're seeing some real change in momentum in terms of building for availability and really making properties accessible for people. We've created a problem over the last couple of decades through a variety of mechanisms that we just have not built enough supply in the places people want to live. And we're seeing genuine change starting to happen now. And I tend towards optimism as a rule, and I think might be being overly optimistic here, but it feels like we're going to unleash the American building spirit for actually building more properties going forward. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think that'll be great for renters. That'll be great for property managers and owners. We really do need to bring housing back where it should be, which is an achievable goal for people, not something that's out of reach for too many people. So I'm pretty excited about that as an overarching case. I think we're seeing tremendous change in the industry. There's been a lot of different changes that impact owners and operators, whether it's legislative or regulatory changes, or just new technologies allowing people to be more effective. We have our first property manager managing 1 million units now, which is quite a milestone. There's everybody has a different number. I always think of 46 million rental units in the United States. So the fact that the largest player has 1 million is still just barely more than 2%. So it's still an incredibly fragmented industry. But the fact that we've had somebody cross that milestone is pretty amazing, and I give Greystar a lot of credit for growing to that point. But there's lots of others who are realizing that they can achieve more scale now because the tools, the systems make that possible in a way that it would have been difficult or impractical to try to do that before. So I think that brings a lot of change for the overall industry. And it'll be exciting to see how that evolves. I think the level of professionalization that comes with scale can be great for renters. It can be great for owners. It can be great for everybody. So that's a big potential win in the market.
For sure. I agree with that. And we've probably all noticed a lot of, let's call it movement in terms of regulatory space as well, BTR regulations, field transparency. Maybe there's, bumps along the way in terms of, making it smooth. But the fact that people and regulators are treating this more and more as a technology first business, and there's a lot of tech involved in this space. I hope that we'll continue on this path and unlock more than we had before.
Yeah, I agree.
And to look a little bit into the future, Jonas, and as we start to wrap up this conversation, can you tell us a little bit about Dwellsy's initiatives and where do you see the company in a year, 3 years, 5 years? Where do you want to be?
Yeah. Split it into two different sides. From a consumer standpoint, we're seeing real growth in renter traffic and interest from renters in being able to access real inventory that's actually available, which is what we have on Dwellsy. We're not showing listings that might be available. We're not showing, hope. We're showing actual real inventory. And I think people are reacting very, very well to that. And that's resonating with folks. So I'm excited about the growth on that side. And, if I do my job right over the next 5 years or so, Dwellsy will be a household name that will be everybody's first stop as they look for a rental. And, it's a completely free, high quality listing platform. We've got the highest quality leads in the business. So it's a no-brainer already for everybody to list with us. But we don't quite have everybody yet. So it'd be nice to get that remaining 25% or so of the professional managers that we don't have yet. But flipping to the other side of the business, I am incredibly excited about our, newly developed ability to build product at scale, and be able to build, almost, I don't want to say bespoke product, but almost. I think there's been a lot of systems that are never quite right for anybody, but good enough for most in the past. And I think in this new era, we're going to see a lot of systems that are just right for a narrowly defined group of people. And I think that opportunity exists. So I think we're going to see a lot more smaller scale software packages, software tools that are available to people. And I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited about Dwellsy Data being a part of this.
That is actually a very interesting angle. I've noticed some of that happening on some level, but you framed it in a way where what you're saying is basically a company can now potentially offer not just a singular monolithic service. It with the flexibility of software, companies can adjust to their various target audiences potentially and fine tune their products for them. Is that basically what you're saying, right? It's
Yeah,
very interesting.
yeah, close. I'm, let's use HubSpot as an example. If folks aren't familiar with HubSpot, it's a CRM system, customer relationship management software that's used by a lot of companies. I think it's one of the top platforms for small and mid-sized companies across the country. We have it here at Dwellsy. We use maybe 10% of its capability, but we pay for 100% of that. And there's a lot of complexity that we don't need that makes it more difficult for us to use that software. And a lot of frustration that comes with both the cost burden of all these things that we're able to do that we either don't want to or don't need to do. And I think a piece of software that was built much more intentionally for a company like Dwellsy, where we're using 80% of its capabilities, and a bunch of other companies that are a lot like Dwellsy also find that it's the perfect piece of software. And it's tailor built for us. And maybe that's not a $50 billion corporation. Maybe it's a $50 million corporation instead. But it's a great piece of software that's really well suited to a particular cohort of users. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the future.
Interesting. I'll actually do a little bit of my own research in that direction. It's a very interesting angle in terms of product development. Thanks, Jonas. And to wrap up our conversation, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing some of these insights with us. It's very valuable to see what's happening a little bit behind the scenes and what's available out there. Just to wrap up, Jonas, do you have anything else, any major releases or anything else that you'd like to share?
We have a couple of things coming. The Uru, our unique rental unit, is launching right now as I'm speaking. So that's very exciting. I think that'll make joining between different data sets much, much easier going forward. We're also releasing a new version of our trends product. We're able to improve the quality using the Uru, actually, that allows us to be much more precise on what rental trends are happening. And then we have a whole host of new products that we're coming to market with now. Products specific for appraisers, specific for property managers, a whole bunch of others that would have been out of reach to build before, but now we're able to bring them to market. So it's going to be a very exciting and busy period ahead for the latter half of 2026 for us.
Sounds exciting. Thank you, Jonas. Everyone, please check out dwellsy.com if you want to know more about the company and what they do. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's PropTech Blueprint Innovation. Would love to have you as part of our listener group. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jonas.
Thanks so much, Roman.